All right, so let's go through a couple of examples of how we would turn a formula into a name. So in my first example here, I have a formula written out. I have KCl. So I know from using my periodic table or from my memory that K is potassium. Okay. And then Cl would be chlorine. But remember, my second atom, my anion, has a name change as long as it is a single atom. So in this case, because chlorine is not a polyatomic, it's a single atom, chlorine becomes chloride. So the name of this compound would be potassium chloride. Okay? I can come over here to this next example. I have aluminum and oxygen. Okay? Here's where naming is actually really nice. When we write out the name, these numbers down here don't matter. We don't have to include them in the name. So when I write out this name, I just need to know that this first atom, this is aluminum. And then the second atom would be oxygen. But instead, because it's a single atom and it's written second, it's my anion, I'm going to change that from being oxygen to being oxide. So it would actually be O-X-I-D-E, oxide. Notice nowhere in here did I put a 2 or a 3 to represent these numbers down here. Okay? Here's my third example. Now I've got a polyatomic in here. You should start to recognize these polyatomics. So you've seen NH4 before. NH4 is ammonium. Okay? Anytime we have a polyatomic, we keep the name of that polyatomic the same. It doesn't matter if it's a cation or an anion. So in this case, ammonium is my cation. So I'm going to list it first. And then I have a single F atom as my anion. So F is fluorine, but because it's the anion, I'm going to shorten it and add "ide" to the end, so it becomes ammonium fluoride. Okay? Let's look at one more example just to make sure that we've got it. So if we look at, let's go with calcium, Ca, and then sulfate, SO4. Okay? I just want to show you this example because this one's got the polyatomic in the anion instead of the cation. So as I go through this, my cation, still going to be the same. So this is calcium. And then my anion, remember if it's a single atom, I would change it to "ide. But because SO4 is a polyatomic, it's not a single atom. I'm going to keep its name the same. So this would be calcium sulfate. Okay? I see this a lot where we get confused between sulfate and sulfide. So make sure that you are taking your time and keeping those separate. Sulfate is your polyatomic. Sulfide is just sulfur. But taking this last part off and turning it into an "ide" when it's your anion. Okay? So make sure you're being careful with your 8s and your "ides" so that you don't get them confused.